I want to thank you all for coming. I am Craig Olson, Fire Chief here in Camelsport. I've got our EMS Captain, Bill Grady, with us. To wrap up Fire Prevention Week, we are holding our open house here, and the culmination of that is our live kitchen fire that we are going to demonstrate. For Fire Prevention Week this year, preventing kitchen fires is the theme. Cooking and kitchen fires is the #1 reason for residential fires starting in the home. So it's very important that people are aware of how fires can start in the kitchen on the stove. To start out, I want to thank everybody that helped create our mock kitchen. It was built by members of the fire department with donations from several people. I just want to recognize them at this time. Jason Braun, Florence Schwartz, Kathleen Stuffel, Dave Shellhaas, Julie Skelton, Lee Kruger, Badgerland Supply, Drexel Builders, Lindsley Construction, Floyd Drywall, Ben Franklin, Lidke Lumber, Precision Floors, Ruby Heating and Cooling, and Ken Ketter Insurance. Let's give those people a round of applause for their assistance. Pro Builders as well, I forgot about them, sorry. I don't think, is it better? There you go. All right, you have anything you want to add, Bill?
No, I think we got most of the people that have helped out well appreciated. This morning what we're going to demonstrate here is a live kitchen burn. A lot of times what happens in kitchen fires in general and fires in general, what the public doesn't understand is the time involved in this. When there's a fire in your house and you call 911, there's a length of time that goes through from dispatch information to our pager's tone, and we actually have to respond. We're not here at the station. It's a volunteer department, so we're all either at home or at our jobs. So when you have that point when that fire starts and you call 911, there's another 2, 3, or 4 minutes that pass sometimes, depending on that dispatch information, before we even know that there's a fire. Then you have to add the time it takes us to respond down to the station. That can be another 4 to 6 minutes. So we're already 7 to 8 minutes involved into a fire in your house before we're even down to our station to put our gear on and get the apparatus and then respond to the scene. So sometimes, depending on how it can be, we could have 12 minutes from the time when that fire started in your house until the fire department responds to the scene and actually starts to get to work on the fire. So some of this in here, as we start to introduce fire to this, what we're going to demonstrate is a grease fire. When it starts, the first part we're going to try and do is put it out just by putting a pan over it and just eliminating the oxygen from it. One of the other avenues we're going to look at is what happens when we introduce water to the fire, and kind of keep an eye on the clock about how fast it starts to envelop into the fire itself before it gets to the point where we really got to get out of the house and not worry about the fire.
That's correct. With a grease fire on the stove, the best and quickest application to put the fire out is if you have a lid, a cookie sheet, another pan, as you'll see here, that we can use to put on the grease to eliminate the oxygen. You want to leave that lid or cover on there for quite a while, due to if you take it off too quickly and that grease is still too hot, the oxygen that you're introducing to it can reignite the fire. So you want to make sure you leave that lid or cover on there for 20 minutes or so, just to be certain. Other ways that you can put the fire out are using baking soda. You can take baking soda out of the can, go ahead and sprinkle it all over the fire and smother it that way. We do not want to use flour. A lot of people think flour is a good way to put out grease fires. You do not want to do that because of the small particles of flour. Once that gets into the air, if you shake it or try and spread it on, it can actually atomize and explode. So we do not use flour. Of course, the other way is a fire extinguisher, either a dry chemical fire extinguisher, which you've seen being demonstrated over here. These are all dry chemicals, or what's called the Type K or kitchen fire. And what that does is it uses a chemical called potassium acetate and puts a fine mist over it to help take the oxygen out and smother the fire. Okay. So what we're going to do here to start is we've got our fire going here. You can see it just self-ignited. So our firefighter doesn't have to put it out. He's going to go up there and he's going to put the lid, put a pan on it to put it out. We're going to show you that. Now, of course, the first thing you would always want to do too is turn off your burner. Turn off the heat to the fire before you start this. We're obviously not doing that for the reasons of the demonstration, but you would want to take that heat source off of the fire. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and remove. Here it's self-ignited right away. Introduced oxygen to it. We're going to let that build up a little bit, and then what we're going to do is simulate putting water on the fire. Let's get these lines charged up, Matt, before we do that. We do have the clock going running backwards here. You guys can watch that, kind of see time-wise how things can develop. You can see we got a kitchen, pretty good grease fire going here now. Smoke detectors going off. Whenever you're ready there, sir, go ahead. You guys get down. You guys get down so they can see. You see what that water did? You always heard the old adage, oil and water do not mix. Same goes when it comes to fires.
Okay, now if you guys want to keep a look at the clock, we notice now we've tried 2 attempts already to put water on this fire. So now we're starting to get to the point where we're starting to involve the appliance and the product next to it on the countertop. So now we got a paper towel roll that's on there, a couple other items on there. Now we haven't even put the fire out.
As you'll see here, we put a piece of plexiglass across the front of it to try and keep some of the smoke in, which you would typically see in your home. And what you're going to see is that smoke and fire eventually starting to roll up and roll over. And in a residence where it's enclosed, that's actually going to follow the ceiling all the way along. And the smoke as well. That smoke, obviously here it's not going to get down to the floor, but that will keep darkening down and down and down further and further and further.
We know.
This is the exact reason why we stay low in fire.
Okay, now if we take a look at the clock, if you went across and you had your escape plan, and we talked about this all week for Fire Prevention Week, is getting out of that house. So if the kids in your exited the house and you went over and called 911, our fire department is first receiving this page right now that we have a fire in a residence. So now we have 4 to 6 more minutes before we're going to be from our houses, us, the fire department guys, from our houses down to the station, and we still have to put our gear on and get the trucks out the door.
Oh, there goes that cabin. All you see is the thing.
take a look at the front of the display, you can see the plexiglass right now and all that black smoke coming out of it. We're getting to the point of rollover in that fire. So you can see about the heat that's involved in the ceiling part of that fire.
It just went to go back.
Look inside that cabinet. Inside that cabinet.
Well, I think
Inside that
this is the time when you put things in your own stuff, right? Oops, that's not good. See, they get this one. It's a It looks like a glass stand. No, we should like use the hose right now. Yeah, just spray it with water. The whole thing is like, what? Well, it's supposed to be bigger. You don't want to gonna spray. But if you get, it'll will.
Having this plexiglass in place, what we're trying to achieve here is fire rolling over the ceiling. I'm not sure if that is going to happen. We're just introducing too much fresh air into it. Rollover essentially is a buildup of heat and smoke at the ceiling, which then allows the fire and flame to, as it says, roll over the ceiling. Another situation that firefighters have to deal with is what's called flashover. And that's when a room is tight enough that all the gases, everything in that space gets hot enough that it ignites at once. And essentially the whole room becomes one big ball of fire. And as firefighters, when we do interior fire attack, that's one thing we really need to watch out for. And that's why we ventilate buildings. We try and keep that temperature down so that we do not reach that combustion point where everything goes on fire. That obviously isn't going to happen here today because there's too much oxygen. So.
There's a whole bucket and water on the gas.
you get a whole bunch of probably get a whole bunch of pieces. It's like all you gotta do is just put a little match.
You're gonna make it blow up.
We're approximately 10 minutes. We're approximately 10 minutes into this incident. That is roughly about where we would be en route, depending on location of the fire, maybe arriving shortly. It's all our outlying areas. We may have another 5 minutes to go. So. In an effort to get this thing going here, so you guys can see some real fire, we're going to add some fire into it.
There we go, that's oil. Oh, there.
Pretty good beer, huh?
You saw they did this another time. They do it every year. I've never seen it.
That noise you hear is actually coming from one of our firefighters here. We have on each one of our air packs what's called a pass device, or a personal alert safety system. What that it does is if a firefighter goes down and they do not move for 30 seconds, there's no motion, those alarms goes off. That tells us that we have a firefighter down and we need to go in and get him.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Shake him against the wall.
Everybody just tries to burn their house down.
You should never burn your house down. That thing blows up.
Firefighters are not good at starting a fire.
Very good.
You had that one little clubhouse thing.
Firefighters are not good at starting fires.
No, it's way out there.
No, they're not. That fire's not good.
As you can see, firefighters are never good at starting fires. We can only put them out.
They just said it.
Aaron, your dad is stealing your own words.
This is all.
Oh yeah, smell that stuff.
Now you're getting how good of a rollover is there. You see like flames rolling out. Oh, I'm gonna touch the guy.
Oh, dude, it's gonna burn her.
How was your summer? Gee, it's not my birthday.
Off of our thermal imaging camera, inside that room, the temperature is well over 900 degrees.
Well, you know, me and my dad were starters. I had like a real one for not starters, but I just starters. And that's a big fire.
Oh, there's gonna be some more that fell.
Even just the microwave, look at it. Oh God!
Started.
Tell me that. You didn't know it.
It don't tell you that it's on fire.
Yeah, see that? See, that's only that one little white spot.
Matt, sit down so other people can see.
Oh, sweet, I just got it. Firecrackers in your kitchen.
It's gonna be barbecue. Where they pour it upside down. Hey, look it! Butterflies there. Yeah, because they have to. If they don't, then one's like, no, one's like.
It shouldn't be that low. Stop.
All right, we're gonna give this thing one more shot of fuel, and then we're gonna go ahead and put it out. We're gonna demonstrate what our guys do after the fire is out with respect to salvage and overhaul. And then we can pull these barricades back and you guys can walk by and kind of see the damage that's occurred.
Got diesel.
Like this. He's doing it again. That was like this.
You guys don't think you're screaming.
Okay guys, go ahead and put it out.
We're doing it!
Alright, now we're going to have these guys go in and simulate some salvage and overhaul. So we complete salvage and overhaul in your home. We're doing two things. The salvage part is exactly what it says. Trying to salvage as much of your belongings as we can. We will take things out of the building, out of the room. We will use tarps to cover certain things in certain areas to protect them from further damage. The overhaul portion of it is what we're doing is we're looking for fire extension. Fire can travel pretty much anywhere there's an open space. So what we will do is we'll go in areas where it's burnt, we will pull away ceilings, we will pull away walls. We will look for any fire extension to make sure that it is completely out.
So they think that there might be a fire behind
Oh yeah, it's raining.
If anybody wants those Swiss cake rolls and cheese whips that are in there, we can bring those out for you guys.
I want That's rain.
Aaron, let me have your hat. What? Uh-oh.
Here you can see we're pulling out things that have been burned to make sure that they do not reignite inside the building.
I want to go and try and get
It doesn't have to. It's just stopping some of the rain on it.
Oh my god, look how much water that's But I want to go and try and get some stuff in the fire.
Well, you know what? Don't worry. Plenty Break all through the wall.
What they're doing here is breaking the drywall on the wall, whether it's drywall or lath and plaster. If there's been a penetration where it appears the fire is burned through that area, we need to open that up and expose it, make sure the studs aren't burnt, charred. We need to take that as far to the point where we see no more charring to confirm that the fire is out.
Water. Aaron. The bridge.
Mats it all out.
Chop down the shelf.
You can see that the protection that the drywall provides for fire. A 5/8 sheet of drywall on each side of a 2x4 stud gives you an hour of fire resistance, or what's called a 1 hour wall. 1 hour fire rated wall. You can see the studs right behind the stove there are really showing no charring whatsoever. So the drywall did its job containing that fire to the space, and essentially what limited the growth of this particular fire. Now, if you have wood paneling or something along those lines, the outcome would be much different.
Oh yeah, straight down. Right down. Right down.
But water doesn't get out of these fires. No, did you take out the garden hose? Oh, fire department.
Of course, when we come to a situation like this, we try and minimize the damage that we have to do. So we do have to do our due diligence to make sure that the fire is out.
Yeah, knock down cabin. I want to do that job. Aaron. You're on the camera.
I think I back to my grandpa started many fires. Really good music. I have to go
I want to thank everybody for coming today. Hope you learned something. Our main goal we were trying to achieve with this kitchen fire was to demonstrate why you do not put water on a grease fire. And I think we did that. What we're going to do is we're going to pull these barricades forward now, so you guys can get right up to it and kind of see the damage that was done by the fire up close. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask anyone of the firefighters here. They'll be more than happy to help.